Today's episode is brought to you by Skillshare. So, if you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Vero, Grainerlay, or even the beloved MySpace, you know at least one truth about me. I can go ham on some black Promist, specifically some sexy night shots. And really, it all started a few years ago when I asked my mom and dad for one for Christmas. Mom, can I have a Promist 3 for Christmas?
Well, of course. You just have to Promist responsibly.
I try to use a Promist whenever I can, but the Promist 3 is a very niche Promist to use. I might be the only person who actually owns this Promist. I mean, I don't know for sure, I haven't seen the sales data. By the way, the black Promist 3 is like the heaviest Promist on the face of this bright blue flat earth. Science is fake, Elvis is alive. But in a weird way, I fell in love. I mean, come on, my personality is a little extra anyways. Why wouldn't my taste in Promist be a little extra too? But all this Promist talk did get me thinking. How would one practically use this filter and get results worth presenting to the world on the designer app of your choice? Guys, I'm just saying, let's bring MySpace back, okay? So, I introduced to you pushing film. That's how I'll be able to use this filter during the day. Well, maybe. What do I really know? The thought is taking a picture with the Promist 3 would lift the shadows and bloom the highlights like crazy. But if you were to push your film to stops in development, you might be able to get that cool Promist look that also has some nice contrast along with the overall softness to the entire frame. Kind of like any movie from the 40s. I mean, we all really love Casablanca. See any Ingrid Bergman shot from that film?
No.
She's all soft and bloomy and sexy. But will this work, or am I just gonna waste a bunch of film? Let's find out together. For this little experiment, Lauren and I took a little drive down the coast to San Pedro. In nearly 12 years of living in California, I have never been. Nothing like some sunset light to get you out of the house. Also, I just happened to run into Verbeek there. Okay, fine. I was talking to him. Whatever. It's not the point. First up, we found ourselves at the Korean Friendship Bell overlooking the ocean.
Ah, good old slide. It's been a second. I have black and white in here. Now I'm gonna try some color.
For this test, I decided to rock the Mamiya 645. I wanted to test this push process with a bigger negative opposed to a 35mm frame. I also wanted to test this in black and white and color, so the interchangeable backs were a must here. Since I was using both Portra 400 and Tri-x 400, I rated both the backs at 1600 ISO for a 2-stop push. And since 1600 is a lot to deal with during the day, I also put an ND filter on the front as well.
This is an ND4 because it is super bright outside.
Okay, so this photo, the meter kind of just did whatever I wanted here. Maybe I should have metered myself. So the first thing you'll notice on these images is the heavy grain structure, which makes sense. That is definitely one of the characteristics of pushing film. But this process is kind of doing what I wanted it to do. There's a bit of softness here. Another thing you'll notice about the Portra 400 shots is that the sky is super duper blue. That added saturation is also a byproduct of the pushing film process. Overall, I think this is where the most success struck, mostly because of the overall scene. It didn't have a lot of contrast in it. I was using aperture priority. Yeah, I know, don't stone me. I use lazy mode sometimes, but sometimes you just want to be lazy.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Next, Lauren and I made our way down to Point Vermin Lighthouse. This place was built in 1925 by Mr. Vermin himself. Just kidding. You think I did any research on this place? Nah, I just take fire photos. Oh, who am I kidding? Mostly I'm just lazy.
Now it is time for color for this shot, because this shot, it's gonna need color.
But before we continue, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Have you ever been in a creative rut and wanted to learn a new skill to loosen up your creative mind? Skillshare has you covered. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers a bunch of different classes that further your creative journey. They have tons to choose from as well. I know you all are masters of photography by now, so why don't you brush up on another creative outlet like I have? Since I'm in the middle of creating my own photo book, I've been taking classes with Daniel Scott about Adobe InDesign. This class has given me the ins and outs of that program so that I can create an awesome photo book for you all. And the great thing is some of these classes are less than an hour, so I'll be printing out some books in no time. And one of the best things ever is that there are no ads, so your creative juices can continue to flow while you binge your favorite classes. And if you're not fluent in English, their entire catalog is now available in Spanish, French, Portuguese, and German subtitles. For the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box below, will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare. So like, what are you waiting for? Go click that link so we can learn something together. Back at it.
Black and white, black and white, shooting some black and white photos. Even with, it's crazy, even with an ND filter on, I'm still shooting at f/22. Insane town. Now I'm gonna put color back in.
At the end of the day, I think this image of the coast is the best out of the bunch. The light was great, and the pushing process just worked wonders. The image is dreamy and soft. The shot is what I was striving for. But was the extra money to push the film worth the effort? You tell me.
That house is looking really good right now.
I have to say, in some of these images, you can really tell that I tried to do something different. They just unfortunately look like your grandmother's plastic covered couch.
So this one shot is going to be without the filter. And obviously this is not going on well. There we go. Done.
So the black and white shots are a bit moody. Where I think I went wrong was letting the camera meter for me. I should have just given the shadows a little bit more light than they were actually given. There's a lot of detail in the highlights there, but the shadows just get crushed away. One thing that would have helped was to expose for the shadows in both color and black and white. In this case, I just let the camera do what it was gonna do, but that was a mistake. Look at me, being a dumb millennial and relying on machines to do my job. If I shot this way with 35mm, I think I would be in total grain city. Population, grain. So, yeah. Would I do this again? Nope. No, I wouldn't. Not one bit. But with that said, it does give the black and white shots an old-timey vibe. I actually did something like this back in the day with my Fuji GW690. I used that same Promist 3, but I just didn't push it. The results were an old-time feeling photo, but without that crushed black nature the pushed images gave. I did end up metering those shots for the shadows, since my GW690 didn't have a light meter. I do think with a little bit of refinement and effort on metering, this process might have worked a bit better, and gotten results I would have been more proud to hang above my toilet. But at the same time, maybe you can just get a much smaller Promist and not do any weird pushing process. Honestly, will probably turn out better. And as a side note, I have indeed scaled my Promist love down a bit. I have a few different kinds. A Promist quarter, a 1/8 warming black Promist that I use for most of my Leica shots, and a new 1/4 Promist from K&F Concepts. By the way, the 1/4 is more like a half in Tiffin's world. Overall, I do really still like this Promist 3. Maybe not for shots during the day with the push process. Maybe just for those neon signs at night. That's probably what it's just gonna be for still. So, but at least you didn't have to waste time and money. So, you're welcome. Not that you really cared about this anyway. I don't know. I just thought it was fun, so I wanted to try it. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.